When I was doing the introduction, I was talking about dealerships. Sewell has been one of the best companies that I've ever had the chance to do anything with. Car company or just regular companies. They're incredible at what they do. They're polite. Something that really stood out to me as I was there, when you go in, you can get your car washed. And we were getting our car washed, and someone came by and said good morning, and said good morning back. They were in nice khaki pants and a polo, and it was the janitor. And I have never been in a place where the janitor, A, is dressed that nicely, or is that polite, or even talks to you. And everyone that is employed in that building is polite, every single person. And I just want to emphasize just how important that is to have somewhere where I feel comfortable Nikki going. I feel comfortable that they're not going to try and cheat us out of something. They are polite, they're honest, they're smart, it's clean. Everything about that place is the best it can possibly be. And it really means a lot when we go in, and this has happened multiple times, the person in the dealership that we worked with to get this vehicle, he has come back to the waiting area, sat down with us, and asked us how we're doing, or if it's just me or just Nikki. And he has genuinely asked how we're doing and where we've been and what's been going on. And to be at a place of any kind of business where the customer service is so high that they are willing to come out, sit down with you, even if it's just for a minute, and just ask how you're doing and show genuine care, that just, it says so much. And then when was the last time you even heard about that at a business, let alone at a car dealership? I've never once had that experience at a car dealership, and there are two other dealerships that I've dealt with very recently when we were looking at this thing. They didn't even come close to that. And it blew me away, the degree of customer service. It was what every business and person should strive to get to. It was very impressive, and it always is every time we go in. So what have we done specifically to this car? I think something you can tell immediately from watching the video is there are these two antennas. There's one here, there's one here. They're magnetic, they're not permanent. They go into the back of the car, and then they're traced under the carpet up to the front, and I'll show you that in a second. We've added a CB radio and a multi-band radio. One thing that we added is a tire pressure gauge. This has a tire pressure warning system, so if your tire pressure drops, it'll have the little icon come up and it'll alert you that you need to look at your tires. I wanted something a little more advanced. I wanted to be able to see the actual tire pressures, and I wanted an audible alarm if we lost tire pressure all of a sudden. We went on Amazon, and I'll put a link below, and I'll put a screenshot also right now of what we got. But it plugs in your cigarette lighter plug. It gives you all 4 tires in PSI or bar, depending on what measuring system you're using. It'll alarm for low pressure or high pressure, and it just sits in the back under our console back there. And all of these tires, the caps have been replaced with those wireless transmitters. Another thing we added here is a water brick with a spigot. And we put that in there. It gives us 3 gallons of water. We cycle it just like everything else, and just like the videos I've shown before, the water brick. And the spigot is taken apart, and it's dry. It sits in a Ziploc bag. We also have a tire repair kit that's back here. It's the slime kit that I did a video on. And a tool bag. The tool bag has pretty much every kind of basic tool you can think of. Screwdrivers, hammer, everything a good tool bag should have is in that tool bag. Another thing that's back there is a roll of duct tape. Obviously, you always have some duct tape. One thing that was in there, but I took out and I need to put back in there, is a food box. It's got some dry snacks like pretzels and some other crackers and stuff. It had a couple of MREs in there that just lived in there, and I meant to cycle it, and that's why it's out right now. Another thing that's back there is a wool blanket. There is a small pouch back here. The CB radio that we use in the car is the Midland one that's also a handheld or a mobile. And the handheld portion of that is in the back. It's in a bag with the antenna and the battery packs. That way, if we wanted to, and some extra batteries, we can take it out and walk around with it if that situation arose. Also some toilet paper and some wet ones. And then in addition to that, we have USB cables to charge our phones. That way we can all charge our stuff when we're going. There's some green chem sticks, some of those chem lights you can break and shake and get some light out of that stay in the front glove box. The trailer hitch that's on here is not a 2-inch. The stuff that we use is 2-inch, so we have a trailer hitch adapter that fits on here. They can go from the size the Subaru has to a 2-inch, because we wanted to get the Subaru trailer hitch so that everything was from the factory and it was also installed at the factory. That way, if we decide to trade it in, go that way everything is from the factory and it's theirs. One thing that is not back here is a first aid kit. And normally in each of our backpacks, we have a first aid kit, and so we kind of rely on that because we can keep it with us. If we're gonna go on a longer trip, but not a road trip, just a trip outside the main area that we're living in, then we'll toss in a small first aid kit. We'll also throw in a blowout kit with tourniquet, that kind of stuff. If we're gonna go on a long road trip, what we have is we're gonna have a big trauma bag. We're also gonna have a specialty bag that's a 511 backpack that's divided up. We've got airway stuff in there, all of those more advanced medical supplies, and then those stay in here. That way, if we do have anything, minus super advanced stuff, we can pretty much handle it. One thing that I mentioned that we also have as an accessory that goes on top of here is a Thule cargo rack. It's the Force Large. It's 16 cubic feet, and that gives us a lot of space. And there's 2 reasons that I got that one, and it also goes into why we got this car specifically. When we add that large Force Thule box with the seats up, it gives us 51.5 cubic feet of storage. With the seats down, it gives us 89.3 cubic feet. And here's the reason that I went with this vehicle, and I also went with that cargo carrier. I wanted a lot of cargo space, but I don't always need it. And I also wanted something that was very maneuverable, low center of gravity, that could handle itself on off-road fairly well, and something that could go in parking garages if we wanted to, with a cargo carrier on top. And with this vehicle, we get all of those things: great ground clearance, all-wheel drive, all those things I've talked about, and we can put a cargo rack on top, 16 cubic feet, that cover from all the way back here and goes all the way up here, that covers up the sunroof. And that way we can still go into not low hanging areas, but we can go in parking garages and not have to worry about scraping anything. And so that's a really big reason for us wanting to get this vehicle, is that we can have massive cargo capability and still be very maneuverable and low center of gravity and still go off-road. It meets every one of our criteria. To wrap up, this is a Subaru Outback. It's all-wheel drive, great ground clearance, 1-inch taller ground clearance than a Chevy Tahoe, has a huge suite of safety features, has adaptive cruise control, is a very comfortable ride. It's got heated seats all around. It is very emergency preparedness friendly. It's got plenty of cargo space. It fits every criteria that we were looking for. And you get all of that. It starts at $26,000. So if you're looking at a vehicle and you want something that has all these features, 4-wheel drive, and it's smart, adaptive cruise control, those kind of things, and heated seats, leather, that is an amazing vehicle that you can get, and the whole thing starts at under $30,000, which is great.